Well, hi everyone, here we are. I'm going to show you the next job that I've got to turn my attention to, and it's this. What you're looking at here, from here to here, is essentially a middle floor bathroom, but it will also act as an ensuite bathroom to that room just in there. So let's have a look at this. What actually happened here? Well, at one point this was a complete wall here which went from the floor to the ceiling, and it had an entrance door here, and as you walked in through this entrance door off this mid landing, it had another wall here, and then it had another door here that went into the original bathroom. So really what this was it's a bathroom for this middle floor, but also it was a bathroom to allow whoever stayed in this bedroom, which again has to be refurbished, whoever stayed in this bedroom could use this as their bathroom. The plan now is to remove this small hallway that once was just there, to remove that completely and turn this into one big space, I say big, relatively large bathroom area. So we're going to have a shower, a loo and a wash basin. But what actually happened here originally is that here on this wall line going from the floor to the ceiling, the original wall parted company. It actually started moving this way. So what we saw was the floor in this area actually dipped, and it caused a crack, a large crack right up here to this point, where in fact you could see daylight. Actually, I think it parted company by about 10 millimeters, so you could actually daylight through here, and on the other side was a shower, so you could actually see through into the shower cubicle and daylight coming from that window up there. So of course this wall had to come down, and we had to investigate what caused this problem. Well, it's a flat roof building, so there's not a lot of weight above here. There's the joists, the ceiling joists go in that direction, and so you're looking at possibly I think it's 3 joists there with just a flat roof on top. So there's not a lot of weight there, but we had block work here, and as you can see, ignore this new timber work here and here, but there's a big vent here, and the original floor joist came across here, and it was cut away to allow for this vent in here. And what they then did is they put on a massive shower tray made out of essentially porcelain, but it took 3 of us to lift it out. That's how heavy it was. And over the years, this centre joist on the floor here actually dipped, and it caused the wall to do this, or to dip to one side, and it caused this crack. And all because of this vent. Now this is a warm air vent, so the idea is the warm air heater beneath took air from the landing here through that vent and helped feed that heater to pump warm air once it heated it back around the house. So there's a bit of a design construction issue here. So what have we done? Well, we've got rid of that shower tray. It was an old one. I won't tell you what was written on the bottom of it by the plumbers who installed it back in the 60s. It wasn't good, so they obviously realised there was a problem with this. But nevertheless, we've got rid of all of that wall, removed it, and the first task was to stabilise this corner here. Now how we did that was we drilled holes. You can see there's the remnants of one, hopefully you can just see it just there. There's another one down the bottom, and we drilled holes, and there's one there, along the brickwork using a 12mm long masonry drill bit. We drilled it along here into the blocks to about here, and we did exactly the same going in that direction. So we drilled holes, 12mm again, back along the block work in that direction, and then we took reinforcing bar, 10mm reinforcing bar, and chemical anchor, sometimes called chemical bolt, and we filled those holes with chemical anchor along, as you can see, all the way along here, and then we put in the reinforcing bars into that chemical anchor and let it go off. So now what we've got, this corner here, is actually reinforced with reinforcing bar, and touch wood, it seems that has actually stabilised that entire corner, so that's a good thing. The next thing we have to do is build a bookcase here. Now the reason we're putting a bookcase in here is because of that vent, because we still have to keep that vent open in order to feed the air to the warm air heater in the room below, which is a laundry room in the basement. So we've got to keep this area open, so you can't really have that in the main bathroom area. So the idea now is, speaking with the client, is we're going to build a bookcase here, which is quite a tricky thing, because it's going to be a double skinned bookcase. We'll have an outer skin along this side, which will face into the bathroom, and then we'll have another skin this side, which will be the back of the bookcase. Now let's walk back into the bathroom this way. So we're going to have a door here which will open that way, and there'll be another door here which goes into this bedroom, the guest bedroom if you like, which will open that way. And the idea is that when you want to use this bathroom, if you come off the main landing, you open your door, come into the bathroom and lock this door here, which will give you the sense of privacy, or certainly give you the privacy that you would want when using the bathroom. And so that's the idea. So essentially this will become a Jack and Jill bathroom. We're going to have a shower tray here, so there'll be a shower there. We'll have a loo or a toilet here, and we're going to have a basin here. These are the original positions of all the white goods. So it's going to be shower, loo, basin. The plumbing's all been redone, and that's ready to pick up when we install the new sanitary ware. And there's also, excuse me, there's a, if you can see it through there. Let's have a look. Can you get it just there? That's the warm air heating pipe. It's a new one, which we had to connect because the original one, actually for the last 40, 50 years, wasn't connected. The original pipe ran underneath the floor here, and the joint was broken there. So actually the original warm air heating didn't work in this room because it was never connected. It was just resting there, which is pointless. So you've got a nice big hot spot here, but it never managed to travel down the pipe and into the room via a vent here. So we put in a new pipe, connected it, and we've got to build a venting for the warm air along here. So the first thing I've got to do is to put in the wall and make plans for where the shower tray is going to go here. It's going to be a rectangular shower tray. So what we've done is we've put in the back, if you like, of the bookcase, which hasn't been fixed. It's all freestanding. It's just clamped up the top to stop this timber from falling over. So we've got the basic shape of where we want it, and we're just now setting out. And it's critical that we set out properly, because you've got to remember we're going to have a shower tray, probably a 900 by I don't know, 800, something like that. And we're going to put that shower tray here, that when we come to do this wall along here, which is going to be batten, then we're going to use a type of weddy board, and then the tiles will go on top of that. But what's really important is that this line along here is exactly 90 degrees with the back of the bookcase. Now the reason for that is, if we went and just battened along here following the wall line, then what you'll find is often this wall will not be at 90 degrees with the other wall. So when you come in to put your shower tray, you'll have a great big gap, and you'll wonder why on earth that happened, or how you're going to overcome it. So what you have to do when you do this sort of thing, particularly shower trays, you've got to make sure that it's laid out properly. So what I'm just doing now is I'm just setting out, just using this laser level here, and we know the distance from the front of the bookcase to the back is equal. So hopefully you see it, there's our laser line going along here, and then if we return this way, we can see how far the wall is out when it's compared to the back of the bookcase, and actually it's out quite some way. So this is a critical part, because you have to set this out before you start doing any work, and because if you get it wrong now, it will be forever a pain. So allowing that distance from the wall to the line, I'm suggesting, is going to be the batten thickness. You can see there's a lot to make up. Also, you have to get yourself a nice level. This is a flooring level here. So there we go, nice one, and put it against the wall and check whether the wall, what we call bows or bellies, and as you can see, it's all tight against there. And if we get up to here, you can see that the wall parts company with the spirit level. Looking at the level there, that's correct, that's upright. But when we get to this block here and going upwards, the wall then starts to lean backwards. Not only have we got to compensate for the 90-degree wall along the floor, but we have to make sure that when we put in the wall that it doesn't belly out into the part where you need to build your false wall. So we've got to check the blocks, which we've just done, and you can see it sort of does this sort of thing, it bellies out. So when we come to put the battens on here to take our, in fact, weddy board, and also to take our plaster board outside of the shower, what we've got to do is we've got to find the part of this wall that protrudes the most this way, because that will be the position of our first batten. And then from that point, everything else will be taken, all the other battens will be fitted in line with that first batten. So remember, your first batten goes in where this wall comes out the most, and that will act as the reference point for all the other battens that come along here and here. And the purpose of this is to ensure that we get a perfect 90-degree return in this area, so when we put the shower in, particularly the shower tray, we haven't got any problems to confront at that point. So at the very, very base level, we've got to make sure that the setting out is done properly. Now this is an awful job really, because the original construction in this room, actually in the whole building, was appalling. To give you an idea, here's some of the block laying. If I point you up to here, look at that. Now that's that perp there, perp meaning perpendicular mortar line. That must be 6mm, 5mm. That's appalling. There's hardly any mortar in there, and if there were any mortar there is in there, it's just pointless. You know, this mortar line's okay, but we've got such a variance in skill here. And look at this one. I mean, that's shocking. So when anyone says to you, you know, they don't build like they used to back in the day in the 60s and 50s, you need to draw in some air between your teeth and say thank goodness, because you know this is just appalling. I'm afraid bad workmanship has followed every generation for hundreds of years, and this is an example of very bad workmanship. No concern for the standard of work here. I don't know how people can go to sleep at night sometimes. You look at this, and you know this is a problem. This ceiling also is out of level. I'll just turn around here. So we put in a first batten for the ceiling, and from that you can get an idea of how far that ceiling runs out. So if I follow this camera along there, you can see from that point to that point we're looking somewhere around about 25mm, nearly an inch in old money difference. So that ceiling actually dips down there, or you could say it raises up there. So that's how far it is out in that direction, or on that plane going across here. But it's also running a bit strange from there to there, and I understand it actually the ceiling does that as well. So we know that this is the datum point, and it's from that batten there that all the other battens will be placed into the ceiling to ensure we get a level ceiling. But some of the mortar here is cracked, as you can see along here. The original mortar, it's lifted off. This is actually just on top of a bit of board, I suspect. That probably, dare I say, some kind of asbestos board underneath that, and then they've just plastered over the top of it, and it's just lifted and buckled because the variance in temperature, because this is a cavity wall construction, so that's lifted up. And then we've got this crack down here. Now generally the reason this cracks in this way is either that it's movement in the building. There's always movement in buildings. Sometimes it's a lot of movement because it's settlement, and other times it's movement because there's subsidence. This, looking at it, I suspect it's because they use sand and cement, and when they put sand and cement on these blocks here, I suspect it was dry, and the sand and cement was put on there, laid on, and then the block sucked all the moisture out of the sand and cement, and then you got this hollow sound behind the sand and cement plaster, which the hollow sound is clear when it hasn't bound to the block work, and then eventually it cracks. So, and you can tell that if you just, I mean, hopefully the microphone's good enough for you to pick that up. I just do that. There we go. That's blown there. It's cracked and it's actually blown, which means it's blown away from the block work. And that's still on the block work, but that's gone. That's gone. Gone. That's attached to there. Can you hear that? So that's blown, and that means this will have to come off. All the plaster, original sand and cement plaster, has been taken off this wall. The plumber's been in here where he's put in his pipes for this bathroom, and you see this patch down here, which looks where actually this is the if you like, the grease or oil substance that's on the Denso tape, which is wrapped around the pipe. So when you when you put pipes in a wall and you're going to cement over them in this way, there's this sort of cement bed, you really should put Denso tape on them, and what that does is it stops the cement from corroding those copper pipes. So I mean, the plumber's done the right thing here. He's covered them to protect the pipes, because the last thing you want is put them in 10, 15, 20 years later to find there's holes in the pipe and you have to break all the plaster and tiles off again. So, you know, happy with that, not a problem. It won't cause us a problem. So, you know, you can see that there are a lot of things to do in here. So the plumbing's been done, ready to pick up. We've got to level this wall. We're starting to set out now, and we've got to level the ceiling. We've got to build the bookcase, and once we do those things, hopefully we'll start to have what begins to look like a proper bathroom. So as we progress through that, I'd invite you to come and join me again. Any questions you have, then please do put them in the comments below, and you know, hopefully I'll be able to answer them. And if you've got any suggestions, I'm always open to ideas. If people have better ideas, then that's great. I'll always listen to them and see if they can make my life easier. But there's a lot to do in this bathroom, and it's a major task. It's not one of those, you know, simple take out the existing bath and replumb. This is a proper building refit job with a lot of things to consider in terms of preventing from what has historically been a problem in this bathroom. So join me then, and I look forward to introducing you to some of the problems that people like me are paid to overcome. See you soon.